So yeah, for the sake of time, maybe we should start with a round of introduction. Serena? Yeah.
GCC Insurance, probably the newest on the market with our new brand that we launched last year. Been a competent insurer across the region, and I'm head of corporate development. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Andreas from Tenity. We are a global innovation ecosystem, an early-stage pre-seed investor focusing on finance and insurance. I'm the CEO managing partner.
Thank you. And I'm Louiza. I used to lead the health and Insurtech verticals for Plug and Play, a large accelerator operator and pre-seed and seed investor. And it's a theme I was very familiar with which is trying to get corporates or government to work with startups. So it's like a subject that is very dear to my heart. And I'm really pleased to see the variety of opinions we'll get here today. So I guess without further ado, AI and Gen AI is the topic of the hour. And let's avoid buzzwords and really get into how, in your opinion and within your function, within your respective organizations, where do you see it having most impact? And what are the prerequisites for it to really deliver on the results? Is it from infrastructure, from quality of data, from the people? All of it is necessary to actually for AI to deliver its promise. But what would be your take on it?
So obviously, I'm not an expert in AI.
No one is here.
We have about 40 portfolio companies that are doing diverse things. Really, from my perspective, it's the partners that we work with. There's actually a very specific product that company that we've invested in called Mena AI, and what they're providing is performance guarantee for AI models. It's a very new product. There's a lot of skepticism around it, whether it's going to succeed or not. That team is they've built AI models before. They have an assessment tool to deliver this product. And we felt that, this is our AI play. I understand there's all sorts of other internal potential things that we could do internally. But actually, I do think that there's an insurance product that's needed out there to give people comfort of mind as they deploy these AI products. So the first product is an AI guarantee. Eventually, they move into providing maybe third-party liability products. Those are a little bit more scary, but it will take time to get there. But you need a team that's committed and understands these models to do that. And I know that's not me, but it's them.
Yeah, what about at Liva, Serena? When we were talking earlier about health insurance and all these use cases where AI can really, place you and give you a competitive advantage as a new company. So tell us a bit more about that and your approach to AI.
Well, I think you're completely correct, and I think I'm the insurer incumbent on the stage. Look, I think AI poses a huge opportunity for a large insurance kind of carrier or capacity provider. The reality is it's not our skill set, and I don't think it ever will be. So you raised the question, Louiza, of do you buy, do you build, do you partner, do you borrow? What do you do? And I think that's a strategic question. The other thing for insurers when they're looking at AI is how can we drive efficiency, because we need it internally. At the same time, how do you customize propositions for customers, but in a profitable way? So there's so many angles to play with, but I think when you take a few steps back and you look strategically at AI, you almost ask yourself the question of, as a traditional insurer, where do I bring value? And my value is in my technical underwriting capability, not in my ability to be a disruptor at an AI player. So what does the ecosystem need to look like? And how does that differ by product or line of by line of business or customer? And so for me, to answer your question, the strategic question we're asking ourselves is, where will AI deliver value for us as a company, for our customers, and how is it different by product? And I think the answers are obvious.
Thanks, Serena. And coming to you, Shady, coming from the perspective of the startup. Obviously, technology is your play to stand out in a market such as the one you operate in. So tell us more about how you leverage technology and if any AI is involved.
So I think it's also like, as everyone had said, nobody is an AI expert yet. So what we've been trying to do is that we're trying to develop like a framework where we can, decide on the things that we do related to AI, or how can we use AI in the business and so on. And the result is that we actually ask ourselves a few questions about, the initiatives that we do using AI. So first is the, costs versus impact. So what is the cost of the solution that we're doing, and what's the impact on revenue or cost savings and so on. And if we can measure that impact as well. Time to test is very important, because AI initiatives can get so big because, usually people are attracted to fancy use cases. I'm usually that person. Maybe the team is less on that side, so they always down me. For example, the CTO always down me when I start like getting like hallucinate about stuff. But and I think this is very important, so that you have something that you can MVP as if it's like a simple feature. So you can MVP, you can test it, and so on. And the as I said, the impact, the risk, and the risk also, the liability of what you're doing. So also one of the things that are very important is that, for example, like today we took the decision that we'll not do anything that is customer facing using AI, because this has a lot of risks tied to it, big liabilities tied to it. So all the things that we start with will be features and things that are done internally within the organization, that increases efficiency and optimize for maybe cost, helps us with growing revenue as well, but nothing on the outside of the organization.
And I want to actually hear your opinion as wearing your VC hat for this particular question of what he alluded to is an interesting point. So beyond the flashy use cases that you see, like direct to consumer, what do you really see the potential of AI in terms of actual groundbreaking solutions that this technology can help bring to market that is also investable?
Maybe I would like to turn around the whole thing a bit, because we're very much talking about technology and what can you do with the technology. But I think the question we should ask ourselves is actually, what kind of problems do we want to solve? And then look at the capabilities of the technology, and can we solve the problems better using some kind of AI technology? It's always the same. Like we saw that with blockchain, we saw it with like metaverse and so on. It's, for me, the essential thing is actually identifying a problem with enough kind of relevance. That's actually also the VC play, right? We invest into companies who solve a real problem where there is a business potential, and then eventually you can leverage technology such as AI. So that's the key for me. So it's too much about, how can you now use AI just because it's now a buzzword?
Like trying to fit AI whatever you can versus actually using it where it's most needed. Yeah, that's a super interesting point. And coming back to your point, Serena, about that build, buy, borrow sort of conundrum that large players have to face now to reinvent themselves, to really, be future-proof as an organization. So walk us through about sort of the decision-making process that happens. Is it fast enough? Does it, match the speed of technology? I already know probably the answer is no, but how do you deal with that? Okay, when we identify a problem, how do you decide whether to go shop for a solution out there? And the question will be also for you, Kagabo, to answer. How do you make that decision of defining that use case and deciding whether to build it from inside or go look for its shop around?
That's an unfair question, because you already know the answer that any insurance player would say. Look, I think we're working through it. I like, Andreas, what you said about solving the problem. And I think AI, of course, it's a buzzword, but as an insurer, you have a tremendous amount of data, and it goes without reason that you should be using Gen AI modeling to answer a number of questions or improve your efficiency. fraud, waste and abuse. It's obvious, you should be using AI tools, claims processing, chatbots, all of these things, which are now becoming instrumental in other industries. They should be allowed. But this isn't glamorous and this isn't exciting. This is just kind of like hygienic common sense that we should be doing. And I think insurers, and I've worked in the region for 1.5 years, and before that I was with a huge multinational insurer with a global level, and it's the same problem statement. How do you get better at identifying early on you're better off working with someone externally? So I think that's one part of it. The hygiene stuff, I think we're getting better at because we know we either don't want to build the tools in-house or it's just going to be too time intensive. I think for me, the area where insurers as a whole need to focus more is on the customer-facing elements, because as you were saying, Shady, earlier, it's the risk, right? Anything that comes with touching the customer or trying to improve the journey or that has a cost with it, right? Because the better the experience, typically the more it costs. Here, you start to see a huge slowing down to insurance because they just don't know how to tackle it. And I think just kind of raising 2 points before I hand over, it's that risk element. Insurers are there to protect society from it. So how do you give a better service when you're also risk averse yourself? But then an interesting problem statement in this region, or an interesting dynamic, which is everything's changing. Insurance uptake is relatively low. You have a lot of data. You have digital population, and you have a regulator that wants to work with you. And that last bit for me as well is around how does it, for example, if we're talking at the GCC, how do the countries work with you as a regulator to enable the adoption of AI? So I think for me, I also want to introduce that train of thought.
And like before I pass it on to you, you raised a very important point, which I'll introduce the second buzzword for this session, and it's the word sandbox. So there's this whole concept of de-risking what you should be doing by, using anonymized data, synthetic data to try a few things. So how does that translate, or have you experienced in that realm? Because this is a very, is the word out here, sandboxes to really de-risk this innovation exercise. So I would also love to have your take on.
I think a broader point that I want to make quickly is that as an organization, you have to be intellectually honest and have the humility to know where your strengths and weaknesses are. So when you're trying to buy, build, or borrow. So from our perspective, we know we're small. We're not going to build a massive team of people across the world with technology. But we know being small makes us agile and quite nimble. So we've been able, obviously, to partner with people who have built the technology themselves. So we're investing in them. And, we get convinced that, you're about to disrupt the travel market, or maybe you have quite a niche product where you have all these embedded products. So that's really our approach. We invest in these companies and let them be our insurers, if you will, who are building technologies. But some of these products are really niche, and you have to really believe in them. And that's the sandbox, if you will. You have to really have the patience. They might create a very nice sounding product on paper, but they can't sell it. And sometimes insurers, obviously, you want to start to see the premium coming through. I would say that maybe 10 out of the 40 companies that we've invested in takes a lot of time to get them off the ground, especially at Lloyd's. And, 6 months in, they haven't sold the policy. Some people just cut and run, I think we are quite patient capital, especially being a small team. And that's what allows some of these companies, to experiment.
Yeah.